When I was house hunting in CT 14 years ago, the real estate agent and I had gone to view an empty house in Guilford. I don't remember how long it had been empty, but it must have been a while as everything was quite dusty. The house wasn't particularly old, but had been modernized at some point. Probably the 90s from the look of the light fixtures, etc. I really liked the house itself, but there were a few outdoor features which were deal breakers for me. The agent had gone down to the basement to check the mechanicals, his first visit there, and I remained on the main floor. I was walking from the dining room into the great room when I was attacked by something. It suddenly felt like I was hit in the middle of my chest and settled in my throat so that I had difficulty breathing. It was as though they were choking me. I knew I had to get out of there at once, so I ran to the basement door, told the agent I would be waiting outside, and then got the hell out of there. I stood by the car, panting for the 2 to 3 minutes it took for the pressure in my chest to ease up. Since then, I've often wondered if the people who eventually bought the house dealt with the entity. It did take another 6 months for the house to sell, even though the market was tight.
I used to work in an old state-run nursing home that used to be a tuberculosis hospital. It's a huge building, but only sections of it were used, and the others were blocked off. We got to take a tour during orientation and were taken to A unit, which is not in use. There were jail cells and chains that were used to house criminals with TB. The whole place was eerie, especially during the evening and night. Elevators would go up and down by themselves. You could hear footsteps from floors above that were blocked off. We had to take the alert and oriented residents outside to smoke, and I always felt like I was being watched from windows on A unit. I made the mistake of exploring a blocked-off section of the second floor on my lunch break one night. I ended up finding the old morgue that had a table, an old wheelchair, and a few other miscellaneous items still in there. As I entered the room, I thought that I heard footsteps coming from behind me, so I ran out through the double doors. Once I got back to the populated side, I looked back and I thought I saw a gray face looking at me through the window pane. Many of my coworkers had similar experiences.
I haven't visited a haunted place, but my parents and I lived in an old house when I was a kid. It was from 1821, I think. My parents had loads of encounters in that house, but whoever were there never did any of the tricks when I was home. It liked to pretend to be me though, turning on my stereo and dancing around in my room. That's how my dad was introduced to that world. He had been downstairs in the living room watching a movie on TV, listening to music and dancing upstairs. At one point he went up the stairs to ask me to turn the music down a bit, but as soon as he opened the door to my room, it was empty and the stereo was turned off. He ran downstairs and told me Mom. She said, "Oh yeah, our daughter spends the night with a friend." It was the ghost playing music. This was the nice ghost. But there was also something angry in that house. It would make all the closet doors open up and then slam them shut over and over. One day my mom was in the basement doing laundry and she heard my dad coming home. The cats ran up the stairs to greet him. He opened the door and walked through the kitchen. My mom yelled that she was in the basement. He didn't answer, so she got annoyed and went up to the kitchen. All 3 cats sat there looking and hissing at something. What finally made my parents decide to move was when I came down the stairs a Sunday morning and found an old black suit, a hat, a scarf, and a walking stick in an armchair. I woke up my parents to ask if they had invited someone in for the night. They hadn't. We went through every single door and window to check if they were open, but everything was locked. That ruled out the possibility of someone breaking in to leave it. So my mom was like, yeah, time for us to move. We didn't know anything about ghost souls, but my mom figured it can't be good when the ghost is capable of teleporting stuff like that.
Tours of Alcatraz prison. Definitely felt a sense of utter despair and sadness in there almost right away. I was reading a plaque on the wall by a cell, and I turned around to talk to the person I was with up to that point, and they were gone. I started looking for them, could not find them, and eventually I went to one of the security guards. By that time I was crying and shaking and really scared. The guard calmed me down by asking me general questions to distract me, like where were we from. I bet he sees this happen all the time. He told me try outside. He is probably waiting for you. Normally I know intellectually if I get separated from people, just call their phone and find out where they are, and don't panic, but it was like I lost all common sense and reasoning this time. I found my friend outside on the path back to the ferry, but for some reason, I did not confront him, asking why the hell did you leave me in there and not let me know you were stepping away. He acted like so casual, let's go to the ferry now. And he's normally a very considerate person, just weird and very distressing for me. I think it was arranged by an entity who wanted to inflict their despair of being totally abandoned by people he loved on me.
Sorrel Weed House in Savannah, GA. But hands down the most terrifying place, energetically, I've ever been was the home, where a man rid of his entire family. This was a well-known case. I wanted to know if it was haunted, and it sure as shit was. Everything was fine at first, but as soon as I got to the landing on the stairs, it was like someone dropped a weighted blanket on me from high up. A thick, deeply sad energy unlike anything I've ever experienced. Horrible, I wish I hadn't gone. Just immense, immense sadness like I can't even explain. It was really strange how the energy imprinted on certain areas of the house. As you went around the rooms, it's like going in and are of the haunting energy, if that makes sense. My husband is very level-headed, and there was also a totally unbiased realtor, and they all seemed to have similar reactions. Like it would be okay, and then not at all okay in different spots. Sorrel Weed House is so haunted and so active, there is a Facebook group you can join. There are historical tours by day and ghost hunts by night. So it's just a dump of pictures from tons of tourists, and some of the best evidence I've seen. I had an intelligent conversation with someone via REM pod, and another during Esther's method with noise cancellation, headphones, and someone else asking questions. I had no idea what questions were being asked, but still answered them. Very, very wild. I think it was a makeshift hospital during the Revolutionary War, if I remember correctly, because the man that owned the house was a doctor. So it became a makeshift hospital downstairs. Carriage house there is definitely active. A flashlight was rolled to my husband during a REM pod session.
My sister lived in a house that has fortunately since been torn down. In 2015-2018, when in town, I'd stay with her. Things would happen during the day. I once took a shower, and there were kids' toys on the floor of the tub. While I was brushing my teeth, 6 feet away from the tub, I heard them all drop. I opened the shower curtain, and there was nothing new in the floor of the tub. I would routinely wake up around the cusp of 3 a.m. when sleeping in either of the upstairs bedrooms. One time in particular, I woke up and moved my hair out of my face, only to have it fall back in my face moments later. This happened 2 to 3 times before I laid on my back to let gravity keep it down, where within seconds what I thought was the sensation of it falling away from me. It was in fact being pulled to the side and upward, and it was dropped on my face again. Doors would randomly open and close, even when you were alone in the house. I once heard a little girl laughing and thought it was my niece. But when I went to find her, I couldn't, because she wasn't even in town. Just before her move, she had things packed away. But there was a garbage bag of kids' toys she was going to donate. And wouldn't you know it? 3 a.m. I'm woken up by laser noises and explosions. It was a toy in the bag. And when I finally found it, it stopped. Weird stuff happened there all the time.